Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Set Up for Success series for Parkinson's, for individuals and caregivers. We are happy to have you join us today. I'm Melissa Mauchley. One of the social workers working in neurology and working with our folks in our Parkinson's community. We're starting off this new year, 2026, ready for full of energy and talking about sleep, right? Because that is something that is a struggle. It's a struggle just in every day for many people, and it's especially a struggle for those who are living with Parkinson's. And so we wanted to give that some focus as we start this year off because it's such a common issue. I like this title that I kind of came up with, From Exhaustion to Empowerment, Managing Sleep Issues in Parkinson's. I won't deny I used some help of Chat GPT to help me come up with that, and I liked that. So because that's what we want. We want empowerment in this space, right? So let's just dive in. As we've already even just touched on, many people with Parkinson's have a difficult time getting good sleep, getting restful sleep. And not only can the symptoms of Parkinson's cause issues, but some of the medications that are used to treat the symptoms of Parkinson's, those can also cause issues. So today, our agenda, we're going to talk about some of those common sleep issues, and then also treatments, tips, and strategies that can be helpful as we navigate this space of rest. So let's go through the difficult things first, right? Some of those issues that can come up. Insomnia. Falling asleep may not be an issue, but staying asleep might be difficult. And possible reasons could include tremors, can shake individuals awake, vivid or strange dreams, sometimes caused by Parkinson's medication, sometimes caused like Cinemet, or sometimes symptoms itself can interrupt sleep. We know it can be hard to get comfortable. Maybe there's issues with stiffness, pain, or trouble turning over in bed, right? All of that might be something. And then needing to use the bathroom more often. Individuals with Parkinson's may need to use the restroom more often. And that repeatedly getting up can make it harder for your body and for your brain to stay asleep. In addition to insomnia, there's also daytime sleepiness. So this can happen for many reasons. It can be issues with sleep, obviously. It can also be medications, and it can also be other mental health issues. Sometimes when we have feelings of depression, that can cause daytime drowsiness. It can cause fatigue. Parkinson's impacts the brain's ability to manage mood and thinking, and even our body's natural sleep-wake cycle. So Parkinson's can interfere with our ability to manage these things. Taking naps during the day can be helpful, but sometimes it can also become a vice. It can make it harder to sleep at night. And for some individuals, even flip the day and night around. Waking up very early in the morning. This can be an issue. And maybe it's from an old habits. Maybe you had a work routine that had you getting up early, or maybe you went to bed the night before too soon. So sometimes just getting up too early in the morning can cause daytime sleepiness, which then can lead into issues during the day and issues in the following evening. So it can sometimes be a vicious cycle. Sleep apnea. These are some of the sleep disorders. And our first one that we'll go over is sleep apnea. This is when a person stops breathing for short moments during sleep. They're typically not aware of this. Sometimes they can be, but many times they're not. And it keeps the body from getting deep, restful sleep. Common signs of sleep apnea include snoring, pauses followed by gasping or choking, waking up with a dry mouth. And unlike many people who get sleep apnea from being overweight or smoking, this is not typically true for those with Parkinson's. This is something that people with Parkinson's experience commonly. And the good news is that there are treatments that can help, depending on how serious it is, and there's different options available. Another sleep disorder is REM sleep behavior disorder. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and it's the part of sleep when most dreaming happens. People with REM sleep behavior disorder, or RBD, move and act out their dreams while they sleep. Sometimes these movements can be strong or look like fighting. RBD can be one of the first signs of Parkinson's. And RBD can often be helped with medication, which can help the brain stay calm during sleep. Restless leg syndrome, also known as RLS. People with restless leg syndrome, or RLS, feel unpleasant, tingly, or jumpy feelings in their legs, especially when they are resting. These unpleasant feelings make them want to move their legs, and that movement helps them to feel better. As I just noted, moving helps them feel better for a little while, but those feelings, those unpleasant feelings often return. And there are several medications that can help treat RLS and make sleep easier. So if you notice any of those sleep issues, insomnia, sleep apnea, REM, sleep behavior disorder, REM, RLS problems, let your provider know. They can help find treatment options. Medications can help with some of those issues. And as I'm going to go over today, because I'm not a provider who prescribes, so I won't go over medications, but my focus today will be on some of those habits that we can incorporate or reinforce that can help improve our sleep. Also known as sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene means a set of healthy habits we use every day to help us or increase or promote our ability to fall asleep easily or with less difficulty, and to stay asleep through the night. As we talk about sleep hygiene, there are daytime tips and nighttime tips. So during the day, we'll start off with our daytime tips. The first one is to have a set routine. Have a set time that you wake up every day, and using an alarm if you need to for that. So even on days that you don't have appointments, or maybe days that you don't work, or on a weekend, maybe times when the routine could change, we would encourage you not to change that, but to keep that set wake time every day. And that also includes bedtime, keeping a set bedtime also. When you do get up in the mornings, get right out of bed if you can, in the pace that makes sense for you, in a comfortable way by all means. I'm not saying to urgently get out of bed, but I'm saying to start moving and doing what that routine is for you to get out of bed versus staying in bed, maybe hitting snooze several times, maybe continuing to lie there. The more time you spend in bed, it can actually lead to more difficulty waking at night, interestingly enough, even though those are at two opposite ends of our day. Again, a daytime nap can be very appropriate and very helpful. If you do take those and it works, fantastic. We would encourage you to limit that to maybe 40 minutes or less for a nap. Excessive napping can obviously affect our nighttime routine, and what time of day you take a nap can also affect that nighttime routine. So maybe you take that earlier in the day, like maybe late morning, early afternoon versus later afternoon. And then, of course, eating regular healthy meals at the same time every day, maybe 3 or 4 small meals versus 1 or 2 large meals, can help with sleep. All of these things, as I look at this slide, and of course the slides that will follow, I'm guessing most of these things may not be new to us, right? But it's a point of reinforcing. Maybe it's a reminder. Oh, that's right. I forgot I had learned that somewhere. Or maybe I haven't tried that before. Maybe I should do that now. So a lot of these things aren't necessarily new, but a reminder to us that these habits, these small habits affect us not only during the day, but also with our healthy sleep routines. Another one that I know will not be new to our Parkinson community, exercise. Increasing or doing daily exercise that can help with sleep at night. Regular exercise can deepen sleep, but we also encourage to maybe avoid heavy exercise 2 hours before bedtime, because in those 2 hours, you're trying to encourage the body to rest and relax and not increasing energy in those moments. Do not drink alcohol after dinner. It may help you fall asleep faster, but it makes sleep shallow later in the night. So, and alcohol can also make snoring and sleep apnea worse. Do not drink coffee, tea, or caffeinated sodas or cocoa, hot chocolate, anything like that that has caffeine in it. Typically don't drink those after noon, after 12 o'clock, because they'll also they'll create risk for causing issues with sleep that evening. And then light exposure. We'll talk more a little bit about this in a moment, but getting light exposure, especially sunlight, is one of the key factors in our circadian rhythms that encourages rest and encourages restful sleep. So as kind of delving in on that a little bit, incorporating light. Our circadian rhythm is most sensitive to light, usually about an hour after we wake up in the morning and about 2 hours before our normal bedtime at night. So you can see that pattern kind of coming up again, the hour after we wake up and 2 hours before we go to bed. We want to be sensitive to what we're doing in that time. So getting light in the mornings, exposure to light, that'll affect that. And then those 2 hours before bedtime, maybe even starting to decrease that. But right now we're talking about getting more exposure to it. And the presence of both natural and artificial light can be helpful during the day. It puts our bodies into awake mode. One of the goals that has been suggested is to try to spend an hour outside each day, not necessarily all at once, but maybe in the morning or afternoons or a combination, allowing that light to affect us and to offer energy, of course, and affect our wake mode. But then other opportunities to incorporate light. Maybe if you start your day with a cup of coffee, maybe consider drinking it outside, of course, weather permitting. Maybe you take your dog for an extra walk, give it an extra 10 minutes for yourself of natural light. Or if you do exercise indoors, maybe try going for a walk outdoors every so often to increase your exposure to light. Just ways to try to incorporate that. That can help. Now let's talk about our nighttime routines. The first one is learning to get into bed when you're sleepy. Learning to distinguish between fatigue and sleepiness. Sometimes our bodies need rest and we just need to take a moment outside of bed to do that. But when our bodies get tired, when we have this set time that we can allow to move into that sleep space, going to bed at that point. Using our beds for only sleep or sexual activity, not using them for electronics. Sometimes they'll even say not using it for reading, because again, we're promoting our brain's awake mode versus a sleep mode. But I know sometimes reading's a restful activity. And so, but just be aware of some of the boundaries with bed. Maybe we're not eating in bed. We're just doing things in bed to help promote sleep for the most part. If you do get hungry at bedtime, eat a small snack, drink a glass of milk, but maybe avoid sugary snacks and avoid chocolate and tea and coffee, those things that have caffeine in it that help wake the body up. We want to avoid those. Do something relaxing. We just touched on that. Maybe reading, sometimes listening to music. This is a way to tell the body it's time to quiet and time to settle. Sometimes people will use a white noise machine as a way to kind of quiet the mind and maybe give focus to one sound. A warm shower or bath An hour before bedtime can help you fall asleep. And then unplugging from electronics and devices. These lights emanating from our devices, right? Devices are fantastic. It's how we're connecting today. But the lights from it, not only can that disrupt sleep, but of course, what you're doing on the device, right? If you're watching the news and that's stressful, that can cause issues with sleep, right? By all means. So our experts say reduce that, turn off the electronics, separate yourself from that if you can an hour before bedtime. Dimming the lights 2 hours before bedtime. Again, that's when those circadian rhythms, right, are most impacted 2 hours before rest. So if we use low level lights, if we dim things, that can help signal to the body it's time for rest. Using hallway lights though, or night lights, keep those on by all means. We want to prevent falls and we want things to be, you can see to navigate their space if needed. Keep your bedroom temperature cool for better REM sleep. So anything you can do to help with that, if it's maybe a fan or keeping the overall temperature lower, less blankets, things of that nature to keep yourself cool, and that will help promote sleep, that REM sleep especially. Give your sleeping space a priority. If you can, invest in a good mattress, invest in good pillows, those things that provide comfort that will help you sleep. It's okay to prioritize that. Block out noise as much as possible. Occasional loud noises can disrupt sleep, even if we don't remember them the next morning. So if you can, try to do what you can to decrease noise. Sometimes people might wear earplugs to bed. Sometimes they might use a fan for white noise machine to help create a low hum that can help so you don't have maybe a loud disruptive noise as much. Try not to watch the clock as you go to bed or if you wake up at night and sit and stare at the clock. The clock can be a trigger for promoting anxiety or promoting difficulty with sleep. So if possible, maybe even turn your clock away from you so it's not facing you. Even the light from some of the alarm clocks out there can be bright enough that can disrupt our sleep. So maybe turn that away. And then repeat. If you have difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, maybe get back up. Don't stay in bed. Don't force sleep. Sometimes lying there makes things worse. So maybe get up and try the pattern again. Maybe you go through some of the routine again of listening to something calming or reading something or stretching or something like that. Just doing something to reorient or trying to restart the body's signal to sleep or to rest. So get up and maybe repeat your routine that you've got. And then two other ones, and I just made mention of that, but stretching. Stretching before going to bed helps our bodies, let me try this again. Stretching before going to bed helps us to get into our bodies and out of our minds. So we're giving focus to our arms or our legs, our back, our shoulders. And that helps move maybe our thoughts from our minds into our bodies. That can be very helpful. And sometimes if we have things on our mind, sometimes writing those down at the end of the day, maybe creating a habit of that. It signals to the mind, okay, this day is done and I've got things written down for tomorrow. And the mind might feel peace, might be calm, knowing that those things are written down and ready to go for the next day. Sometimes people will keep a notebook and a pencil by their bed on their nightstand, so that if they do wake up in the night, they might, with a thought, they might write it down there, and then the mind can quiet again. You might be able to return to sleep. So writing things down can also be helpful. Meditation. Sometimes when I say the word meditation, I get people rolling their eyes at me, or they're like, oh, I've tried that. I can't do that. My mind won't stay focused. And I often bring this up in many of the presentations I do. So if you've been to one of my presentations before and you've heard me mention meditation, well, that's because I'm a strong believer in this. Meditation can be very helpful. And if your mind wanders, it's supposed to wander. That's what it's supposed to do. Meditation can help us just gently return the mind, recenter us. So it wanders off and you think about this particular relationship, or you think about this on your to-do list. That's okay. We acknowledge that, and then we gently bring the mind back to something that we're trying to have a single focus on. That's what meditation is, being in the present and focusing on one thing. And we just gently return and return and return. It's okay. So why is meditation important for sleep? Why can it be? It can be a very helpful tool for sleep. It initiates the body's relaxation response. What is our stress response? We hear about stress a lot. Do you, as an individual, do you know what your body's stress response is? Typically, it can be shallow breathing. It can be a higher blood pressure, higher blood rate. It might be that you feel heated. It might be that you feel tight. Maybe your shoulders are up. These are some of the things that I experience. But it's helpful to know what your body's stress response is. And then, what's the relaxation response? Meditation can help us get out of that fight or flight mode, that stress space, whether it's during the day or sleep. But tonight right now we're specifically talking about sleep and night. So the relaxation response is your body's way to counteract that stress response. When our body's relaxation response is activated, our heart rate slows, our blood flow improves, stress hormones decline, and our breathing rate slows. From this relaxed state, we find ourselves better able to drift into sleep. Meditation calms a racing or ruminating mind. So it offers a point of focus for our minds and helps decrease racing and/or ruminating thoughts, rather than staying up all night feeling helpless or trying to problem solve. Mindfulness and meditation can be helpful in that. With permission, I'm sharing an experience that took place last night. My husband and I were lying in bed, sleeping, presumably, and at 3 a.m., both of us found ourselves awake. And he had a racing mind about thoughts at work and stress and stressors that are going on there. I was awake thinking about this presentation and kind of laughing to myself that I'm like, oh, I'm doing a presentation on sleep tomorrow. Let's see if I can practice what I preach, right? So I started doing a meditation. I started focusing on my breathing, and we're actually going to practice it here in a moment, but I did a box breathing. That's a phrase maybe you've heard. And as I'm doing this, and my husband is next to me and his mind is still racing, and when he's thinking, he's a talker. So he's thinking, as he's having these thoughts, he's speaking them out loud. And I finally said to him, would you like to do box breathing with me? And he kind of scoffed at me. Well, in fact, he didn't he did. He scoffed at me and he's like, oh, that doesn't work. And my mind won't focus. I'm just so overwhelmed. And so I kind of laughed and I said, you remember, I'm doing this presentation tomorrow about sleep. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I'll try it. So we both did box breathing. And not gonna lie, we both ended up falling asleep. And it took a little bit. It took a few minutes or so, but we were both able to have our minds calm and go to sleep. And we didn't talk about it again until this morning. And I asked him how it worked. And he said, I actually got up and wrote down some of those things that were on my mind. So he wrote those things down. He got back into bed and did some box breathing, and it helped. So and he's one of my greatest skeptics. So I promise this is something that can work if we give it a try, if we give it practice. And it doesn't always work on one time, but if we create a practice with it can be helpful. So let me see. Let me do our next. I'm going to do this slide also. Meditation helps. Research shows that meditation increases levels of melatonin. Melatonin is that sleep hormone. It helps to regulate our sleep-wake cycle. So not only does it calm the mind, but it helps to produce or increase our levels of that hormone that helps us to sleep. And it can help us to stay asleep. Meditation, again, reducing our stress response, and that better stress regulation that we have is associated with fewer nighttime awakenings. And people who meditate often, whether it's at night when you're trying to go to sleep, or maybe is that part of that routine, or even during the day, if you create a meditation routine, it helps with sleep at night because it helps your brain get into that relaxation response faster after you wake up. If you wake up at night, it helps you get back into that space to be able to go to sleep faster. So before I go into this, I'm just going to go back. Let me do that. So with that for a moment, will you be willing to join me for a moment, for 1 minute? I'd like to try to do some box breathing with you if you are willing. So if you'd like, and you're willing to join me, get in a comfortable position. Put your feet in a comfortable place. Maybe if it's on the floor or if you're sitting in a chair, if you're lying down, that's okay. We just want you to be in a comfortable place. Try to sit up if you're able to do that so that you're in a space of an empowerment or engagement. And we're just going to do this box breathing for 1 minute, and I'll time us so you don't have to worry about that. What box breathing is we're going to do it, and there's different variations, but today we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. We're going to hold that for 4 seconds, then breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then start that over. So in for 4, then hold for 4, out for 4, and then hold for 4 before we start over. I'm going to count us. So if that helps, make this a little bit more of a guided meditation at this point. But let's just see. Take notice of how you feel right now, and then we'll ask how you feel afterwards. But if you're ready, and I'm ready, we'll go ahead and start. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Take notice, and I'm not going to ask anybody because we're recording this and this is a presentation, not necessarily an interactive in this way kind of space, but just take notice of how you feel. Do you notice any difference? Anything in your body, anything in your mind? That's what, hopefully you've noticed your body relaxing a little bit. Hopefully you noticed that and your mind was able to focus on that in that moment. That's what meditation can do for us. So in addition to meditation, sometimes people will do a mantra. A mantra is a short repeated phrase used to help focus the mind, calm the body, and interrupt distracting thoughts. So number 1, a mantra, it gives our minds one job and not multitasking, right? A mantra creates a simple point of focus, reducing mental noise and rumination. A mantra helps calm the nervous system. Repeating a steady phrase slows breathing, lowers the heart rate, and signals the body that it's safe to shift towards rest. A mantra helps to interrupt unhelpful thoughts. It can help replace internal chatter, such as, I'll never get to sleep, or with something soothing, hopeful, or humorous. Over time, this breaks the cycle of frustration and stress that can keep us awake. And then a mantra can also build a sense of control. Sleep changes in Parkinson's can feel unpredictable. A mantra gives us something we can do in the moment, which can reduce our feelings of helplessness. Mantras can be helpful for sleep. They can be helpful during the day. There's something that I use. So let me just share with you some mantras specific for sleep that might be helpful. You might say to yourself, my body rests, my mind unwinds. My body rests, my mind unwinds. My body rests, my mind unwinds. That's an example of how you might say these over and over. So that first one's just an example, and there's other ones here in the section of empowering. I am steady. I am supported. I am safe. My spirit is calm. My body follows. And again, repeating that to yourself. You'll notice that the body starts to calm. Even as I was saying that top one a few times, I felt my own body even start to feel more calm in that moment. Well, sometimes maybe it's not an empowering thing you want to say, sometimes humor. And there's no right or wrong for what works for us, right? These are just some options. Sometimes you might say, dear brain, it's bedtime, not story time. Dear brain, it's bedtime, not story time. And repeating that. You might say, tonight, tremors, I'm ignoring you. Take a number. Hey, Parkinson's, ever heard of quiet hours? Again, we're just repeating these things. It doesn't mean that Parkinson's is easier. It doesn't mean that the symptoms by any means go away. It's just trying to help your mind to reframe maybe the situation, maybe trying to help, again, quiet some of the other thoughts you're having and giving the brain something that's positive, promotes safety, humor, those things, again, that are empowering, and rest for yourself to promote sleep. Additional resources for meditation. I like to share I used to use other apps, but I've come to really enjoy Insight Timer. This is a free app. There are some things that maybe you could pay if you wanted a premium service, but there are thousands of meditations that you can do. You can do them on your computer. You can use the app on any device. So those could be helpful. Also, through the Davis Finney Foundation, they have meditations specific for individuals experiencing Parkinson's. And this website here, you can go there, and there's a whole list of things for particular circumstances that might be unique for people with Parkinson's, for symptoms, for caregivers, for empowerment, for promoting things that you want to be engaged in, like exercise or social connection. There's all different types of things here that could be helpful for you. Also, with regards for sleep, on the Parkinson's Foundation, which, by the way, I don't think I even mentioned that. Okay, you guys, I forgot to mention at the beginning that this presentation, this program that we have, this setup for success, is made possible because of a partnership that the University of Utah has with the Parkinson's Foundation. So, sorry I didn't mention that at the beginning, but that is definitely something I want to let you know about. And much of the information that I took for today's presentation came from their website. So in addition to that, they have an ebook about sleep that you can read through and find if there's other strategies or things that might be helpful to you. They have podcasts specific for sleep that you can listen to. And then they also have blogs, they have articles, they have things specific about sleep that you might find helpful. We all learn in different ways, And sometimes in not only different ways, but at different times we're more willing to receive information, or maybe we have more energy to receive information at different times. So there's no right or wrong way. These are just additional options. And then here are the resources that I used for our presentation for today.